Once again, this is the BKBK podcast. I'm your host, Brandon Phillips, and I'm here with my fellow co-hosts, Brian Taylor, Captain Kyle McKenna, and
Yo, yo.
Kerry Idris Taylor. This is the show where sports and the culture collide and the New York Jets reign supreme. So Team BKBK is back, and as we all know, things are vastly different all around us from when we aired last just 2 weeks ago. So different now, guys.
A little bit.
Yeah, man. And what's different today versus 2 weeks ago is that we're in a brand new league year. Woo! All right. Free agency.
Yes.
We're in a brand new league year. That's right. No. But in all seriousness, our last show a few weeks back, we were dealing with way different life circumstances.
Sure.
And we just want to wish everyone well. We just want to make sure that everyone just stays safe as best as they can, exercise wise judgment, and we're going to come back stronger than before. How about that? All righty. So just want to just wish everyone out there well, and hopefully you guys can use this podcast as entertaining as well as educational, as we kind of, as Brian loves to say, unpack some of these things in free agency that we're going to unpack in regards to the New York Jets and the entire NFL.
We love it.
So as you guys can see, we are actually, air quotes, social distancing because we are not in studio together, even though Kyle kind of rarely is because he's usually 3,000 miles away. So he's always automatically social distancing.
More than 6 feet, I'll tell you that.
Definitely more than 6 feet. And then, Brian is in the studio, and Kerry and I are at remote locations, just observing the laws of social distancing. And it's not even just that, the phrase, but, nobody really wants to get sick. And we're just taking our precautions and exercising wise judgment that we just said earlier. So without any ado, we're just going to jump right into things, guys. It is free agency time in the NFL. And we have some teams that are moving really aggressive. And then you have certain teams that aren't being that aggressive.
New York Jets.
And then you have teams like the Jets that are being, I'd say, prudent. Okay. And I like that because we're using our melons, we're using our wigs to make moves. So what we want to do is to kind of analyze these prudent moves, unless someone else out here doesn't think that it was that prudency is being exercised here. But let's analyze Joe Douglas's free agent acquisition so far. Does anyone want to take a shot at the first name that I'm about to throw out there? And I think Kyle is probably going to do that. And I'm going to go with George Fant. He was our first signing, or the New York Jets' first signing in this free agency period. Kyle, take it away.
So I think that all of us were not really that aware of George Fant as or Font. I don't know how you want to pronounce that. I'll defer to Kerry with that, with the Darno Font. We have our French team. In hearing about it and being in Seattle, I was aware of him from, being a swing guy for the Seahawks, but looking into him a little bit more after we signed him. For those of you out there that don't know, the NFL Game Pass is completely free right now. So you can go on there and you can get all the games from All 22, which is the Sky coaches film that goes wide tight. It's a great way to watch a game.
Wow.
I went back and I watched the games that Fant started for the Seahawks, in particular against the 49ers, because I thought that was the best front four that we were going to see him go against to have some scouting film. And what I found was a very athletic offensive tackle that handled Joey Bosa so well that they actually put Joey Bosa on the other side away from him in the latter part of the game because he wasn't getting much push on Fant. He's super athletic, former college basketball player, scored 1,700 points for Western Kentucky in his college basketball career. Power forward, kind of like an Anthony Mason type, and he did actually play point guard in a few games. So that the point forward type, good back to the basket game. But it's translated really well with his footwork and his ability to pass block. I would say I would give him a little bit more of a negative grade in the run blocking right now. But I think that what Joe Douglas sees in Fant is someone who is on the upswing, someone who he'd rather spend that money on than a Kelvin Beachum, who's on the downswing, even though he was in-house.
So Kyle, if I can just stop you right there just for one quick second, you said that he could run block a little better, is what you're saying.
I'm saying that if I'm breaking apart what I scouted, he could do a little bit better in the run game. He's a much more polished kick step pass blocker right now. When you're going against
because he didn't have enough bench reps, is that it?
Well, I know it's been very controversial. in our text thread how much the bench press means in the combine process. To Brandon, it's everything.
No, it's not.
It better be. That better not be as much as you think it is, Brandon.
No,
if you're talking about run blocking, it's definitely not your arms that you're run blocking with when you're running.
That is true, but all I'm saying is, if you're a lineman, whether it be offensive or defensive, you're going to need to have some power.
Well, listen. Maybe he has short arms like a T-Rex. He's like this. He got the short arms like a T-Rex. Maybe
then he'd have him playing, free safety or something, or kick returner. I don't know.
Well, one thing I would say is that I did remember George Fant from when they brought him on. Seattle did a couple of years ago. The name stuck out to me because maybe one of those Sunday night games or whatever, they put him out there as a starter. Seattle did and tried him out maybe back in 2017. I remember the whole backstory of him being a basketball player and him trying him out. And Seattle has a history of trying to do these things in order to try to get a diamond in the rough. My concern with the pick was that he didn't end up starting, right? So he started, I think, 2017. It didn't work out 100%, so they put him back on the bench. So he tore his ACL in 2018. Oh, yeah, that's right. He tore his ACL.
Yeah. So he had Brown was the starter there, and he backed that guy up. They thought that he was a better guy, but I talked to somebody. I'm going to get all Adam Schechter right here, but I talked to somebody in the Seattle organization when I was walking the dog the other day. He was 6 feet away from me, so it was a legitimate conversation.
The dog or the guy? Like which one are we talking about?
No, me and my source. So talking to the person in the Seattle organization, they would have been quite happy with Brown walking and Fant becoming their starter at left tackle. But they wanted to do it on the cheap. They didn't want to pay a lot of money for it, and they were kind of hoping maybe for a hometown deal with that. And that's my guess. That's not what the guy told me. But what he did tell me was that they liked him a lot, and they would have been okay probably with him starting if it had gone that way. And the tape doesn't say different, really. Like when you look at him against Bosa, and that's the end of this season. I'm sorry, it's the first 49ers game that I watched. He's very athletic, and you compare him with what we had there last year, and he's a much better fit for what we're doing.
Well, I hope so, because one of the things that I was commenting on last year, as far as Gase and what he was showing us in his offense. If you guys remember, I don't remember seeing a lot of linemen pulling like counters and traps and things of that nature. I wanted to see the linemen just, moving, pull out, get a screen and run out and just offer just more diversity in the plays that were called. And I just felt like we were locked in certain plays, and maybe it was a lack of personnel. Or, I like to blame Gase. So
you love to blame.
I love to blame him. But I'm a fan of athletic offensive linemen. I like athletes all over, up and down, at every single position. So it's not just strength, and having strength doesn't mean that you're going to be unathletic. It's not like mutually exclusive, But I think that there should be a balance, and I trust what Douglas is doing. I just, until we signed him, I didn't know who the guy was, and I had to do a little research on it. And so I'm more with you, Kyle, than against you as far as the signing of George Fant. I'm happy with it.
I mean, my thing is this, and I think that we have to get out of the mentality that we've been in and the state that we've been in as a New York Jet franchise over the last 15 years, let's say, where we don't draft well. So that has put us in a position where we've had to reach for free agents and spend a lot of money for them. And that cycle has gone on and on and on and eroded the entire roster to the point where you have Joe Douglas with a lot of holes to fill. So I don't really think at this point in time we're seeing 100% of who he's going to be in free agency. I think this is who he has to be today in free agency as well, where we had to get an entire starting offensive line. We had to get starters and backups in the secondary at cornerback.
I don't think he has to be this way.
I think he does. I think at this point he does. But the amount of starters and quality backups that we need to have to fill a 53-man roster or whatever it is.
It's changing with the new CBA. I think it's 54 now.
54, right. So expanding, but the amount of think about it. George Fant is supposed to be a starter for us. McGovern is supposed to be a starter. Alex Lewis coming back, starter. You're talking about Greg Van Roten, whatever it is, right? Supposed to be a starter for us. Brian Poole coming back. When you're talking about a third cornerback, that's a starter for us, right?
Yes.
Pierre Desser, who we just picked up from the Colts. Cornerback, probably going to be a starter for us, right? At this point in time. So when you look at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 people already out of the 10 or 11 that we've already brought on board that are going to be starters for us, much less playing minutes, because Moulette's probably going to play some minutes. Hewitt's probably going to play minutes. You're talking about players that are actually going to see the field.
I agree with you, B. And the only thing that maybe I'm being a little bit too technical. And the thing is, basically, the point that I'm trying to get across is because you were basically saying, he kind of has to be this way. And the thing is, no, not necessarily. He doesn't have to be this way. I think that he is following his GM philosophy, because GMs are presented with these instances and cases all the time. You know what I'm saying? Whether it be, oh, well, I got to replace the offensive line. Oh, well, maybe not this year. Maybe, this year it's a defensive line problem and I have to replace everyone, et cetera, et cetera.
The entire offensive line in one year,
no.
That's a little
I'm just
tough,
saying,
right?
Well, sometimes, you know what? Sometimes people have to replace their entire secondary. Sometimes they have to replace their whole linebacking core. I'm just saying that, this is his philosophy that he's exercising right here, because I guarantee you a GM like McCagnon wouldn't be doing this, and we wouldn't be saying, oh, he has to do what he's doing. He would just do it the wrong way. You know what I'm saying?
Let me jump in there for a second.
So basically, I'm agreeing with you, B, and I'm also complimenting our general manager at the same time as well, because you don't have to do anything. You can either do well or not do well, and I think he's doing a good job.
I think I'm right there with you, like somewhere in between what Brian originally said with the have to and the want to. I think this is the when we talk about WWJD,
need to have that set up before you. What
would Joe Douglas do? We've been really getting into that mindset when we've been doing these mock drafts on our own. What we would like and what a Jet fan would like is maybe different than what a person building a roster as a job is thinking about, especially with the salary cap implications. And I think this is consistent with the school of thought that he comes from with Ozzie Newsome.
Yes.
We looked at some articles this week that said that his process is to put a dollar value on every free agent That means that he has a tightly knit pro scouting operation going on because he used to be a pro scout. He used to be a director of all scouting, and he knows a lot of these players from having scouted them at a college. So he has a value on each person. He's going to stick with that value, and he's not going to overpay. And what we've done in the past, the McCagnon and the Idzig method, was to throw darts and hope they fall on the bullseye, and overpay for guys like Tremaine Johnson but also even guys that we may have overpaid for in the past. He's not cutting. Like, not cutting Avery Williamson is a good move.
So I think so too.
I
You're
agree.
not going to find a better linebacker.
I agree with that. Yeah, I'm on the Avery Williamson bandwagon. Now, again, free agency is far from over. I think we've just passed the first tier, maybe tier 1A is still out there. Robbie's still out there. There's a significant edge rusher that's out there that I really want to stay away from.
Talk about
but
Clowney.
at the core of a job of a GM, it is to improve your roster. So if we just do it from a basic standpoint, George Fant, is he an upgrade over Beachum? I think the answer to that is pretty much yes.
I don't necessarily think so. I mean, when you talk Pro Football Focus doesn't say so, but okay.
From the perspective of past, again, I'm looking at it from the perspective of what we want to do. We want to protect our quarterback. We want to protect our investment. He's absolutely a better pass protector than Beachum.
I don't necessarily agree. What I think is that he has more upside. So,
yes,
so what you're referring to, he has more upside because he hasn't been on the field in order to fully pick apart his game enough at this juncture to say where he's at. Now Beachum has been a starter, has had starter minutes. He's been out there besides the couple of injuries that he's had, but he still grades out better in the long run than George Fant has done in the short term.
Beachum and Fant, if they're equal, you got to go with the younger guy even.
26 versus 30.
And from what I saw last year, I didn't like it, and I didn't want Beachum on my team anymore at left tackle. Right? But even if I say, okay, that's a wash. Beachum and Fant, wash. Connor McGovern, Harrison, that's an improvement. Alex Lewis, that's a re-sign, so we really can't say much about that. Van Roten over Winters, I take him.
Absolutely, me too.
Hey, the guy Josh Andrews might be better than Winters.
Right, another signing. Right,
he's coming from one of the best O-lines in football right now, and he played for the Eagles before that. So if there's anybody that knows whether he's better than Winters, it's Joe Douglas.
So listen,
and he's versatile because he can play center as well. So center guard combo.
Yeah, the versatility is definitely there.
He's athletic.
I just want to listen.
Let me complete my point. So the point that I'm making is that we can go down the line. We can talk about Desir. We can talk about Christian as depth at the safety position. We can talk about the re-signing of Neville Hewitt, who we liked last year. We can talk about who we really liked last year, who we were concerned that we weren't going to be able to bring him back. I say at the end of these 6 days, our GM has improved our team, and at the end of the day, that's really what he is charged to do, at a price that he wants, at a price that he thinks that he can improve this squad and still go out and make the purchases that he needs to make, both in free agency going forward and some of the draft picks that we're going to have to give money to. Right, Robbie is still out there. I'm not saying that we're going to get him, but
what I'm saying,
at Joe Douglas's price.
Great.
At Joe Douglas's price, not at my price, but at Joe Douglas's price. If he comes back at Joe Douglas's price, then hey, I'm saying let's go, because you look at that offense with Robbie Anderson and some of the other assets that we have, and maybe picking a receiver at 11, or another receiver or a different receiver. Instead of picking a receiver at 11, picking an offensive tackle at 11, or picking in that scenario, then you pick a receiver in the second round. But what I Again, in the beginning of this free agency, yeah, we did not make a splash, but I think we've been spoiled in that we've made splashes, but the splashes that we've made in the past haven't panned out the way in which we wanted them to. So I'm of the opinion, you know me, cheap dollars. You sign that, you sign for based on what the budget requires, and Joe Douglas has done that thus far in free agency. So I give him a B plus. I give him a B plus.
Yeah,
a B plus plus.
I'll tell you what'll give him an A. Because I'm right there with you on the B plus, but I give him an A if he re-signs Robbie Anderson at his price.
Yeah.
Because if you re-sign Robbie Anderson, you only need to get one starter at receiver from the draft.
Yes.
If you don't, you need to get two.
Yes.
And that's draft capital. And you can get one starter fairly easily from this draft at wide receiver. 25 to 30 dudes that are going to be on NFL teams next year. So do you want to go out there and try to find two young guys? Do you want to have Demaryius Thomas be one of your starting receivers? Do you want to try to?
I don't think he's on the roster right now.
Do you want to try to have faith that what's his name, Anunwa, will come back and do something? To me, that's an icing on the cake guy.
So I guess my question is this. So we bring back Robbie Anderson. You're going to give this guy an A right now as far as free agency is concerned. Okay.
If it's at his price.
If it's at his price. Okay, so we're there at his price. So what you're banking on, because Robbie Anderson means that's the same wide receiver that we had last year. Brian Poole is the same, cornerback that we had last year. So now obviously we're talking about prices, and that's part of it is how much you're actually going to get these folks for. But so what you're saying is that so far what he's done with the offensive line has made that much of a difference that we're going to, because that was the weakness going into free agency, that he is going to get an A for free agency based on what he's done to improve the offensive line so far.
I'll give you an answer to that question. If he signs Robbie Anderson, he can go O-line all he wants in the first 3 rounds. I mean, so it's like you got 4 picks.
No, he can't.
I don't think he can.
You still need another starter. Yeah, you still need another wide receiver starter out there. But
4 picks in the first 3 rounds, correct?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep. All right.
Yeah.
Out of those 4 picks, I believe you could get a starting receiver, you could get a starting O-lineman at an outside position and tackle, and you could possibly get a starter at guard. That's my opinion. Out of 4 picks,
I think
the top 4 picks.
I think you can do that, Kyle, but I don't think it's
100%.
All right, so basically we've gotten 4 starters in free agency, and we've gotten good depth as well. I think that our first pick should be one of the big 4 as far as offensive tackles are concerned. Hands down, with the 11th pick, I think we should do that. Then we're going to have the 48th pick in the draft. I think that we should either go with the best receiver available or the best cornerback available. We need a cornerback or the best edge. Because now, if you look at it, we need an edge just as bad as we need a wide receiver. Because we're not going to sign Jenkins. At least I'm not seeing any evidence of that. We lost Copeland, and I think we have Luvu there. Like we don't have guys that we can trust to rush the passer at all in any capacity as far as the outside linebacking positions are. So we need those just as bad as we need some wide receivers, and maybe wide receivers just a touch more because we have Sam Darnold that we need to, like I've been saying this whole time, protect and to give weapons to, but they're not far behind at all. So he still has a lot of work to do.
Yeah.
And we have not addressed the edge position at all. And I'm just seeing Brandon Copeland, he just signed with the Patriots, 1 year, $1.1 million. I mean, like, we could have done that too, but he didn't. And I don't see any edge positions out there being filled by our general manager. Now, I know he's still working or anything, but I'm just saying that, like, it's hugely, hugely important because we don't even have the cornerbacks to help alleviate the ills of that position as far as the edge is concerned, because one complements the other. So we're still, grinding it out though.
Yeah, I don't think we changed. I think when we went into free agency and we were thinking about Conklin, right? We were thinking about that as an option, and we were thinking about some of the top guards that were out there as options. We thought that potentially, based on what we did in free agency, we'd put us in a position in the first round to then have options to either take the best tackle available, maybe go wide receiver in a CD Lamb or Judy type of option. Based on what we did with the O-line, I don't think we gave ourselves the flexibility to be able to do that at this point. I feel like we have to go offensive line. Point in case, Fant sounds good on paper. If he fails, where are you going? Where are you going? I think you have to go third tackle at this point and let him fight it out for the right tackle.
I totally agree. I totally agree.
I think,
but I'm okay with that. But I'm okay with that, Brian, because what I say is we can get a high end quality receiver in the second or third round.
I'm with you.
Yeah.
I'm with you.
Yeah.
I'm just saying if we're talking about grading and what we've been able to do in free agency, and I'm not trying to knock the our GM. I think that again, philosophy is part of it. The position that he was put in is part of it as well. But when I look at George Fant PFF 62.2, McGovern 71.9, I'm all on it. He's the center, and that was a market upgrade from where we were. Alex Lewis was a 56.1. I mean, we love the guy, but how he graded out, it's okay. We'll see.
He graded out better the first 6 games that he played in, then he kind of tailed off a little bit. I think he was dealing with a little injury, and then also he never got to finish the season.
We got that too. We got Josh Andrews, who we picked up at a 57.6 at PFF. Greg Van Roten was a 65.6. I mean, we're all hailing that as a good pickup there, but Brian Winters graded out at 62.4. We're only talking about 3.2 points difference between those two players, but we're really, wasting Winters out here, and we're bringing in Van Roten, who really didn't score that much higher overall. What I can say is, from a offensive line standpoint, that they show McGovern and Van Roten and the things that they've shown is low sack totals and low penalties. I definitely saw that, which definitely was different from Winters year in and year out. High penalties and high sacks.
And reliability and availability. And
they're blocking for 1,000-yard rushers, respectively.
So how
Christian
about
McCaffrey and the kid Lindsey over there in Denver? So
how about the idea too that a good center makes both the guards next to him better?
Absolutely.
I 100% agree with that.
Absolutely.
And we got the best center, pure center, on the market.
I'd be interested to see what the 2 guards next to McGovern graded out as a comparison. Because if we are going to dip into the analytics of it and the numbers and say, Winters is this versus that, like how much did Winters have to overcome Harrison not being a great center, or Khalil? Because Khalil was an absolute disaster.
Oh, he was a dumpster fire, and that's one of the reasons. Yeah. And that's one of the reasons why I would say Brian Winters. You know what? Let's, instead of just outright cutting you, let's see if we can, bring that how much we're paying you down a little bit, and see if we can keep you on the roster. To me,
yeah, but I mean, what is he a $6 million hit?
7.8.
Yeah,
7.3.
7.3.
7.3. So if you could bring him down to like a $2 million and prove it, and we'll give you the opportunity.
Because he's been injured.
Sure.
I'll tell you what though,
the market ain't gonna do that though.
I have not liked Winters for the past 3 years straight. I feel like I've seen him like peak and then start to regress, and it's no sweat off of me if he goes. So I hope it's just a matter of time. I'm ready for him.
We haven't had a good O lineman on our team in 4 years.
Yeah,
since Mango left.
Yeah, so you got to put him in there too. But when you're talking about, these are the folks that are going to start for us. We still need people just in case Van Roten goes down or Lewis goes down, right? So we're talking about depth there. If you can keep somebody who has started for you, who could potentially raise their game because now they're next to McGovern, to all the points that you guys just made. If you can get him for like a $2 million and say, hey, it's a prove a deal with some incentives, I mean, I'd have him stick around. Just my opinion on it.
Yeah, but who agrees to a $2 million prove it deal when they're under contract, and if they get cut, they'll make more than $2 million on the open market. Somebody will sign Brian Winters for $4 million, $5 million.
Potentially.
We'll sign who?
Brian Winters.
Oh, Winters. Yeah.
Potentially.
I agree.
They will.
He's a starter. He's a top 60 guard in the NFL by numbers.
Well, I'll put it to you this way: the guards that we have on our team now, I think that they are better. I think Alex Lewis is better, and I think Van Roten is better. So you know what? He's got to get to stepping, and we have a backup.
See, the thing with Van Roten, I think Van Roten has a Tunney effect on our O-line. Mm-hmm. So, and this is what I mean by that. The Pats O-line was not good last year. They were good. They were effective, but they had a whole bunch of guys that were just thrown together from wherever. They lost 2 people in free agency the year before with Solder, who was one of their starting tackles. And they franchise a guy like Tunney because Tunney keeps – you have one guy that can keep the consistency on that line and kind of, like Mangold was able to do, like Brick was able to do.
And Tunney made their backup center who had to come in for that guy Andrews better, and who now basically cashed out. This was his first year starting. His last name is Karras or Karras. I'm not sure how to pronounce it, but basically Tunney made him money. But go ahead, Kyle. Sorry to step on you.
You're saying the same thing though. It's like it's if we could string together some guys here. Now, what I've seen of Fant, upswing. What I've seen of Beachum, you're either going to get the same or worse from Beachum. You're not going to get a better player. He can't even get in a stance. He's a 2-point stance guy. He stands straight up. And when you watch both Beachum and Fant, like I watched the Miami game with Beachum, and then I watched the 49ers game with Fant. And what you see is a young athletic dude. And that's no disrespect to Beachum. Couple ACL surgeries. He came back and was an effective starter after he was jettisoned from Pittsburgh and Jacksonville.
That's what Beachum is. He's an effective starter. He doesn't stand out. He's an effective starter.
I would have in mock cap management, I re-signed Beachum for Winters' price, like 7.5.
Right.
And I'm good with that. A good cap number. I would re-sign Beachum to play right tackle right now, right this second. He hasn't signed with anybody. That wouldn't be such a bad idea because then if you put him at right tackle, then you have another starter. Now you're looking at the groom. Like if we could get a guy like Wirfs who could play guard at a high level in the NFL or tackle, then you could plug and play him at either position. But if we go back to the conversations we were having a few weeks ago, we were talking about we need to get 5 starters out of this draft pre-free agency. We don't necessarily need 5 starters out of this draft anymore.
I think we do, man. I
think we need 3.
I think we need 4. But before we move on to that, I just want to move on to another thing, and it's all related. This is what we need to move on to, guys. Basically, since we're talking about acquiring players, what's the most important acquisition as it is right now where we stand today that Joe Douglas needs to make?
In free agency?
In free agency, yes.
Robbie Anderson, I would say.
Robbie Anderson.
It's got to be Robbie Anderson, yep.
I think we're in unison with that, buddy.
I'm going to say an edge.
Who's that?
Free agency?
Yes.
Who's that?
Don't even.
I don't know. Well, I'm not going Clowney.
No.
I'm not.
So who else
that.
is out there?
I would go Clowney on a 1-year real cap friendly deal.
You're not going to get anything cap friendly with this guy, and that's the only reason why I kind of am staying away from him. Who else out? Because I'm going by position. I don't even know who else edge-wise because they all just went. They all got absorbed. But I'm not even sure who else we could get that would be.
Griffin? From the Vikings?
Yeah, he's a head case, though. Sorry to be so,
I don't think Joe – I don't think
anyone –
Joe Douglas don't want to bring
a head case issue. But
I do have someone who I would put on a 1 to 2 year deal. I would sign Cameron Wake, and I think he would be affordable. And Cameron Wake is a free agent.
Yeah.
I'm reading it right now.
They've been talking him up lately too.
Yep. And
Michael Nania on Jets Nation, Gangrene Nation.
He is 38, but that's why you sign him to a 1-year deal. You give him maybe a little bit better than average money. He's a proven vet. Guy's in great shape, and he still produces. So I would, and he's a veteran, and he can show some of these younger no-name guys how to play the edge position while also producing sacks for us that we need.
So, he's 38, but he only has 10-year career because he started at 27.
Really?
He came from the CFL to Miami, I believe, at 27. I'm going to look it up on Wikipedia right now.
Gotcha. So basically, to answer your question, it would be Cameron Wake. He would be one of the edge players that I would get. Maybe sign him for, I don't know, 7.5 for 1 year instead of going for 22 million with this guy Clowney. And I also heard that the Jets they did put an offer into Clowney, but we're one of the 3 teams that put offers in. So we'll see what happens. I mean, I think we're starting to get to know Joe Douglas a little bit. He's not going to move from what he has offered. He looks like a forward-thinking GM with a plan. And the thing that I like about him is that he's disciplined and he looks to be staying with his plan. He believes in his plan, and he believes basically how he was trained up under I forget his name. Oh my gosh,
Ozzie Newsome.
Yep. And also what is it, Roseman in Philly as well, because he learned under him as well.
Yep.
So yeah,
So Cameron Wake played for the British Columbia Lions for a couple years before he signed with the Dolphins. So he's only been on the Dolphins since 2008.
Gotcha.
So,
and I guess he was producing in Canada too then.
He had a 16 sack season.
Oh, wow. Nice.
In 2007, which, I mean, how many sacks did he have last year?
That is a good question.
It was like 4.5 or something. It wasn't really that high. Maybe it was up to 6 at max.
I mean, to me, I feel like to be effective at the
2.5, Brian.
2.5?
Yeah.
To be effective at the edge, we need 2 edge guys that are going to have between 7 and 10 a piece.
Mm-hmm.
And that's without having an actually good, like a good edge guy, like a pass rusher. Like a Jordan Jenkins is an 8.5. If we could get 20 sacks out of the 2 edge guys with the defense that we play, we'd be in pretty good shape. Or if you get 15 out of one and
7 on the other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't know if Cameron Wake at this point, I think the reason why he's unsigned and talking about retirement too, like he's saying he's not retired, but
he's adamant about it. Yeah. I'm reading it now. He's adamant about not retiring. And it says he strongly refuted the report that he's retiring.
Well, nobody's offering him a contract right now, so you'd be looking at veteran minimum.
Might be a forced retirement. Actually, is based on.
No, it might be something that he might sign after June 1st or something like that. I think if he doesn't want to retire, I think that he will definitely get a job somewhere. Yeah. It just has to be a 1-year deal. 1 year, give him $5 million. Come on, come through. Let's play ball.
He's a part-time player at this juncture, so we still need 2 starters.
Yes, I agree with you.
Yep.
I think he's so vested right now, and I don't know what the new CBA's numbers are on this, but he's got over 12 years in the league. I don't think you could sign him for less than $5 million a year.
Gotcha. Yeah. Well, bump it up to 6 and let's play ball. Or what about that free agent edge player, outside linebacker that the Giants have? He had 10 sacks.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, and they're not really talking that much about him. I take a flyer on him too.
Marcus Golden or something like that.
Yes.
And they already have a young pass rusher from last year that emerged.
Yeah, that guy we're talking about.
Drafted.
Oh, that they drafted? Well, Golden.
From Clemson, I think is who you're talking about, Kerry.
No, not the defensive lineman, not the interior lineman. I think he was in edge. I have to look at their roster, but I think he ended up with like 8 sacks for the year.
I'm looking at. Let's see here. His name is. Okay, we've got Golden here. Marcus Golden, 37 tackles, 35 assists, 10 sacks, and 13 tackles for loss.
Did he go to Notre Dame?
He went to Missouri. And
How
they got
about
him in the second round in 2015.
I'd take a flyer on Coney Ely.
Wow, is he in the league?
Right. I'm like, huh?
He's coming off. He's coming off of a pretty successful season in the XFL. So, I mean, I am probably more into the XFL rosters than you guys are.
No, not probably. It's absolutely.
But I have several people that I've scouted from the XFL that I would like to give a flyer to. Coney Ely knocked down a lot of passes when he played for us. So that's something that's like not in the stat line as much. I just want to show you this Play-Doh breakfast that my daughter just
nice.
Made. See how those fried eggs.
Wow, look at that. Healthy too.
It's like a work of art over here.
Love it.
Bagels underneath. Bagels.
Tell her to put some of that syrup on it. She needs some syrup.
Some syrup.
Thank you, Phoebe.
They were also talking about Vinny Curry as well, defensive end for the Eagles as a potential outside linebacker for us.
I'll take him too.
Yeah, the thing with the XFL is that you have those guys are all like edge roster guys for training camps. I mean that's what that league is pretty much made up of. But Coney Ely, I wanted to re-sign him when we let him go. He played, I think, a season for Dallas after that and played a lot. Mm-hmm. I would take a flyer out on that. There's a center that's bounced around practice squads named Silberman, who is pretty nasty, from Boston College that played on I think he played on the New York Guardians of XFL. I would like to take a look at him.
Honestly, Kyle, I don't think we need any more centers.
He can play guard too. He's played guard in the league as well.
Okay, because we have McGovern, we have Harrison, and we have Douglas who can play guard center as well. You know,
I'm intrigued by the Andrews guy because I think that when you're talking about a backup lineman on a really good O line, you're talking about a competitive roster spot.
Sure,
right. So you might have guys on there that should be starting other places. And I think goes the same thing for Fant too.
Yeah.
I don't think Seattle loves their offensive line.
Nope.
They actually signed Shell.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
It'd be funny if we're starting Fant at left tackle and they're starting Shell at right tackle.
Good luck with that, Seattle.
I don't think that Shell is that bad. He just has to stay healthy.
Wasn't that bad? Yeah, just couldn't.
I don't think he was that good.
Yeah, well, we could sign Vlad Dukas. He's out there.
Not doing that either.
We had a general manager that drafted him in the second round, correct?
I think he was the last offensive lineman that we actually selected in the second round.
Yes.
Yeah. That tells you a lot. Yeah.
Yes.
First or second round, by the way.
Yes.
Joe Douglas has me optimistic.
And I think that might have been in 2010. So, yeah. So, guys, what are you guys thinking now? Let's really iron this one out. I want to hear about the Joe Douglas approach, his GM philosophy. What do you guys think about it? I mean, earlier we started talking about it.
Yep.
And Kyle, you wanted to give it an A if we got
Robbie.
If we got Robbie. Kerry was saying a B plus. I'm gonna say a B plus as well at this juncture. And I love the way Brian broke it down because the GM is supposed to make your team better. And his philosophy is basically getting players, and it looks like he likes to get athletic players and players that you can kind of play chess with. Oh, you play guard? Oh, okay. Oh, you play center as well? Oh, okay. You play tackle? Oh, you can play guard as well? Oh, you can move around. You're kind of an athletic type of a player, this and that. And this way you can kind of play chess better. And if anything that coaches like to do, they love to play chess, but they need those pieces. So I think that he's doing a really good job. And from, the bottom line perspective, if you look at the deals, the longest deal he signed so far is a 3-year deal. And those are the top of the line guys, or what we would think are top of the line as far as what we've gotten so far. But everything else is like 1-year deals. So it's almost like he's like, okay, I'm going to give him a 1 year, and then we're going to see how he does. And then that gives me wiggle room to make decisions the following year and this and that. So I really do like his approach. And
most of those 3-year deals, if you look at the other free agents that signed, most of the 3-year deals are because of the new agreement, knowing that the TV monies are going to turn over again in that third year, which means you're going to be able to make more money. Good point. If you're looking at why we did it, or why Joe Douglas is making those types of shorter term deals, I think it's more a symptom of what the free agents know are coming in terms of the monies.
Well, it's also the level of individual that you actually went into the deal with. Fant as a perfect example. It's really a 1 year, $9.5 million deal. There's not a lot of guaranteed money past the first year. So let's say, it's a 3-year deal for us. We can keep him if he ends up being somebody that we really like at left tackle. But if we don't, and we end up drafting his replacement, then we can cut him and not have a lot of dead money left afterwards. So he's given us a lot of flexibility from that perspective, where if we really don't like what happens or what we see on the field, then we can make adjustments on the fly as well.
I think if you're thinking also monetarily, if you're going to draft another guy to play left tackle, his cheap years, his Kerry Taylor cheap years are years 1 through 4, right? So you see what you have with Fant in year 1, and if you don't like that, then you insert the other person that you drafted and you move Fant around somewhere else.
Yep.
Or you just get rid of him. But you want to have 4 years that your left tackle is not going to cost you Trent Williams type money.
Sure.
You want Trent Williams type play for money that is very cap friendly, and
Fant money.
It's set up for that, for sure.
Yeah, that's why I have a lot of respect for him thus far. I hope he keeps trending in this direction. So we'll see what else he's got. But in the meantime, B, why don't you cue up that Tweak Me, Peek Me music, because we love doing that on this show, and we have points of views that we want to just throw out there. Okay, so
last point on that before you move to the Tweak Me, Peek Me.
Go ahead.
It was hard to watch.
The
free agency period, right? I think we were all frustrated, right, when we saw people
we
flying
were definitely
off the board, right?
Yeah,
listen, we're all talking like, oh man, we like what Joe Douglas is doing right now, blah blah blah. This is great, This is all retrospective, right? But when the gate flew open and we were like, hey, we're looking for Conklin, he's gone. We're looking for this one, he's gone. He signed over here. The frustration started to mount from everybody on this panel, because we were used to business as usual, McCagnon, and we're gonna throw money at this one, and we're gonna sign this one, right? So let's not act like we were all calm.
No.
Absolutely not. Absolutely
100%. You are 100% right, and we needed that time to figure out.
Like, what is this guy doing? He's not signing anybody. What's going on?
We have to figure out our own GM,
right?
And his approach, because none of us have heard of George Fant. I know I'm guilty, and I'm going to admit it. I was guilty. I was like, who the heck is George Fant? I never even heard of him. We have to study him up and research.
I went straight to Kyle. Like, yo, who is this guy, man?
Exactly.
I will go out on a limb. I will go out on a limb and say that I had the most positive attitude.
You did.
You did.
Yeah, no doubt. Absolutely.
With that said, I was also frustrated because for the same reason as that you see all the the girls that you like dating other people. You know what I mean? So,
and bro, that never happened to me, bro. That never happened to me. Yo, B, okay. Get a thing on me real quick. Like, yo, that never happened to me. And then all of a sudden, just a single tear drop.
That tear, that one tear comes.
That one tear, bro.
Why she gotta be happy? Why she gotta?
It was like people are saying to the Jets, "I like you, but I don't want to ruin our friendship."
Right, that's what we thought, right? It was, we thought that they didn't want to sign with us. We're like, why can't we get somebody to put pen to paper? What's going on? You know?
Yeah, it's cool. It's cool. I like New York. I love New York, but I don't want to ruin our friendship. But yeah, but you guys know, like in this day and age, in this new reality that we have, my phone has been running out of batteries 3 times a day. I got to go charge it at 11:30 in the morning because I've been on my phone the entire day already. So we were watching this Roto World or whatever to see who we were going to sign, and it was frustrating and it was hard, but patience is a virtue, and I think that we did all right. But moving on to the Tweak Me Peak.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, let's do it.
Tweak me and
and then at the end,
somebody got to make these words. Somebody got to make words to the song.
Yeah. And at the end, you got to go like high pitch. Don't tweak me.
Before we start Tweak Me, Peak Me, I'm just gonna say, without like blowing up the whole text thread, we were tweaking each other big time over the last 4 days.
Yeah,
and some of it was cabin fever, some of it's new babies, whatever. But we almost had like some social distancing fist fights.
Yes,
over philosophy.
Kyle was coming at me wild, condescending tweets,
right?
And I was like,
he was taking some body shots.
Funny.
I was like, look at this dude.
And then Brandon was broing me in a really aggressive way.
Bro.
And the funniest thing about it was that Kerry was like, he wasn't commenting on it. He was like doing the iPhone like and dislike. He's like,
right.
So I said to Brandon, I said, your bros are super aggressive. And then Kerry's like laughed at that.
Well, one thing I will say is I'm in here doing my bench.
Yeah. And Kyle.
The bench press is a big part of it.
And the fact the way that Kerry was answering like that was kind of tweaking me out too.
Because in the background, I was cackling.
You were cackling, huh?
I mean, this is how this whole podcast started, was from that text thread, and it's like sometimes the text thread is funnier than anything that we could do on the air like this.
Sure.
As far as like four guys that know each other real well, and also know which buttons to push when they want to push buttons.
Totally.
And there's a lot of buttons being pushed.
But isn't it funny how we saw the reconciliation? I think Kyle started it too. Got a little sensitive, and I was like this. I was like, "Aw." And then at the end of the convo, everybody was saying, "I love you, man. I love you too."
Yeah. Yep.
Oh man. So that was awesome, dude.
Yeah.
So listen, we're in Tweak Me, Peak Me. If you guys don't mind, since I'm already talking, I'll just go first, and then I'll just fall back and let you guys, do your thing.
Whatever.
But I'm gonna go with the Tweak Me first. And what's tweaking me out is the coronavirus, because I want us all to be in studio together. You know what I'm saying? Chopping it up. Of course, me and Kerry, every time we get together, we got to tease each other a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Me and Brian got to tease each other a little bit. And then I know if Kyle was with us, if he decided to hop on a plane and go 3,000 miles towards us, we'd all be getting on each other's case, just like when we were back in Baldwin. So, basically, the coronavirus is tweaking me out because I want to get my Baldwin vibe back again with my Baldwin brothers. So that's what it is. But
Amen.
We can still kind of do it remotely as well, as you guys just saw. With the good laughing we did. And plus we do it all the time via text anyway. But still, there's something good and tangible about it when like you're right there in person. So kind of miss that. You know what I'm saying? And what's piquing me, and I'm sure you guys will probably echo the same thing. What's piquing me is that you know what, Joe Douglas, I think you're doing a good job. He's piquing me, and he is piquing me from his approach. And I just think that he's taken like a cerebral approach. He's like a thinking man, and he's like a guy that really like sticks to his guns about things. And even though he's not getting, say, the players that we initially wanted, that's going to cost $18 million a year, like Conklin, or 22, it being Clowney. Next thing you know, 3, 4, 5 days later, oh snap, we almost have a whole new, brand new offensive line with like qualified and verified starters, and not just starters, but effective starters. And I just like that. And plus, they're affordable because of the way that I guess he's doing business. And I like it a lot so far. So, still more to see, but so far, I like what he's doing. So that piques me.
All right, let me go next. I'll take it. So, what piques me, Tom Brady is no longer in the AFC East.
Yes.
Holy yeah, baby. Yeah. And, and I was thinking at some point, just typical, New England or whatever else, in order to stick it to us, he'd go to like the Dolphins or something, so for some reason he just wouldn't, and he'd hang on and want to stick it to Bill Belichick or whatever else, and he ended up on the Dolphins. But when he signed that piece of paper, he ended up with Tampa Bay. I was like, oh, yes.
He's got weapons down there.
Nah, he's got, hey, whatever, but they're down there, man. Knock yourself out in Tampa.
Yeah.
Do whatever you want to do.
Let Drew Brees worry about that.
Yeah. Let Drew worry about that. That is not our problem anymore. Now, not to say that New England's not going to be a problem, right? I mean, you still got the most winningest coach ever in NFL history, as far as, Super Bowls are concerned and all that kind of stuff. So there's still a lot of work to be done there. So that is definitely the peak. Now the tweak is the Dolphins and the Bills actually got better.
Yes.
They actually got better. I mean, let's not forget that.
Dolphins spending money too.
Oh my gosh. So and they did what McCagnon would have done last year. Byron Jones throwing big money at him, big money deal for a cornerback. Let's see what ends up happening there. Kyle Van Noy, we were all in there. That probably annoyed us more than anything else during the free agency period was, hey, now
why did you say Van Noy and then say that annoyed you?
Because I love to play on words there. This is what I do, baby. So, and we all looked at it like, all right, well, that's a big name. We can do that. We got an edge rusher. You can do a lot of different things, taken away from the Patriots too. So for all those reasons, we were all in. And this was like the second wave of free agency. We got to get this guy. And we were the only team that was attached to his name during the period of time, Roto World or whatever else. And where does he go? He goes to the Fins. So at that point in time, you see that Buffalo making a trade for Stephon Diggs, which is huge for them. You can see that their chips in the middle of the table right now for their franchise quarterback, right? With Josh Allen playing very well. They're going to the playoffs last year. And then on top of that, the edge of the tweak, which really kind of started it all, was DeAndre Hopkins and us not being able to get in on that trade.
Yeah.
I mean, come
I
on.
give up that second rounder. You kidding me?
Come on. right? And I love Le'Veon Bell, and I feel like when we give him an offensive line, he's going to really show what he's going to do. But in a millisecond, I would have made that trade, and Bell would have been out of here, and we would have had D-Hop here, Nuke sitting here catching passes. How sweet would that have looked?
Yes, I would have done that too.
With Sam Darnold in a second.
Not even
thought it. It was in a second, right?
All day.
So those are my tweaks right there. My peaks and my tweaks. And on to the next one.
Great job.
I'll let Kyle wrap it up at the end. I'll go next. So my tweak me is about our Bowling Bruins and our Bowling Bruins girls and boys basketball teams.
Yep.
Winning in exciting fashion.
Hold up.
Oh yeah, winning.
Yes,
Let's clap it up for the wins.
Strange.
Bruins all day.
Winning the Nassau County Championship